in today's video, I'm going to be covering everything you need to know when it comes to caring for your Norfolk Island Pine throughout the holidays and the remainder of the year. So it's going to really be crucial care tips, troubleshooting, and all of that good stuff, not just for the holidays. A lot of us love to decorate these as pseudo Christmas trees or Xmas trees, but which is great, but I really want to share with you guys how to best care for these, not throughout the holidays, but throughout the entire year. Now, this is obviously my beloved Norfolk Pine here. I've had this guy for only about a year and a half. I actually picked this plant up in the clearance section of a local nursery, and it used to be a lot smaller. So fair enough to say that these are fairly quick growing if you get the conditions right, and I'll be sure to explain all of that. This year, I've seen Norfolk pines, Norfolk Island pines, just about everywhere, not only at local nurseries, even at my local Target. They seem to have quite a few, and they were quite large actually, which is really interesting. Thanks for checking out this video. I'm Tyler. If you like what you're seeing or you find this video to be useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, or better yet, you can hit that subscribe button. Now, to really show me some love, click on the bell for alerts and notifications for future content. Oh yeah, don't forget to check out my merch store, Mossop.com. If you are going to pick one up this year, or you recently have picked one up, be sure to take a look around the base. Now, it's not uncommon for retailers or nurseries to basically include multiple plants in one kind of container that they're selling. So if you look carefully at mine here, there are actually about 3 Norfolk Island pines kind of that have been almost woven a little bit together at the base. And you can kind of see here, 1, 2, this one separates, and then a third one down there. So there are actually multiple Norfolk Island pines in here, like I'm explaining to you, and the reason, or one of the reasons that they do that, at least as far as I'm aware, and actually this is from a tip from a viewer that I had for my last video, is so that it gives the appearance of being a lot more full, or giving that fuller look. If you are able to find it with just one, that's totally fine. I think if I were to add another Norfolk Island pine to the collection, I would actually prefer just for it to be just one sort of singular plant, but that's totally up to you and your preferences. Another couple interesting facts. Now, we call these Norfolk Island pines, but just to be super clear, that they aren't actually pines. We call them that because they obviously resemble the appearance to a pine, and they actually, I think, are related to like a monkey puzzle tree or something like that. And if you are able to grow these outdoors, if you live in a zone that can tolerate these to be kept up outdoors, I'm super, super jealous. Here in the Northeast, in the Boston area, it's obviously way too cold outdoors, and not enough humidity and consistency of humidity throughout the year. But yeah. Love these indoors, love them even more outdoors. I'm just not in a climate that can support that. But let's delve into this video and touch on the crucial care tips and how you want to care for these throughout the winter, and then of course throughout the spring, summer, and fall. All right, guys, let's start with lighting now. Like I said, depending on where you are in the world, if you're living in the Northeast in North America, where it gets dark around 3 or 4 p.m. in November and December, January, and there's not a lot of light. It can be very overcast. These plants require, basically, they prefer sun, full sun. So if you are using this as kind of like a living Christmas tree, or ornamentally for the holidays, then it's probably not getting the required light. So what I would suggest to do is, promptly once the holidays are over, be sure to move this plant into a position inside your home, if you're not able to move it outdoors, where it's getting full sun. So it will kind of tolerate and adjust, for a month or two over the holidays. Like I said, it's probably a lot more dark than it would require. So this will require, if you plan on keeping it, which you should, it's a beautiful house plant and grows really quickly like I mentioned earlier. So be sure to move this into a full sun, so really close to a south-facing window would be ideal. When it comes to soil composition and the type of soil mix that you would like to use to ensure that your Norfolk Island Pine is really thriving and flourishing, regardless of where you purchase it, if it's a nursery or a retailer like a big box store like Target, take a few seconds to kind of take a look at the soil mix that it's currently in. Now, 9 times out of 10, if you are planning long term, it's probably going to be a good idea to adjust the soil mix. 9 times out of 10, the plants, especially these types of plants, don't come in the soil that they really should be kept in. So what I would recommend for your Norfolk Island Pine is a rich soil mix that has a lot of grittiness, sandiness to it. So you could use, some orchid bark mix, including some grit, little stones. I think it's really important to add a good amount of peat moss because these are acid-loving plants, which means that the soil pH should be slightly acidic. Peat moss will really help keep that balance slightly acidic, so that's a really good thing to add to these. The other thing I can recommend, always use containers with drainage. It's really important. I've also opted here for like a deeper, longer kind of pot in the vertical because the roots will prefer that and just kind of be happy about it. So if those are things that you can do once you've picked it up, then I would highly recommend it. I've really started here with what I think is the most crucial, most important light, the soil mix, and I think the third kind of thing to really consider and that I can really emphasize here is humidity. These plants love and need as much humidity as you can provide them. I think those are kind of the top 3. When it comes to watering your Norfolk Pine, I think there's a little bit more flexibility. They're less picky when it comes to watering. These plants can be a little bit drought tolerant, and you kind of even almost want that. So what I recommend is watering these every couple of weeks, but really the thing you want to kind of look for and do and maintain is that the soil mix is drying out just ever so slightly in between your waterings. So obviously, again, depending on the other conditions, if it's not getting that much light, then you probably maybe want to water it, cut back on watering it every other week and maybe every couple of weeks, or every few weeks, I should say, every 3 weeks. So just be conscientious. One thing you can do is kind of just stick your fingers in the top of the soil, and if it's dry and you're not really feeling moisture in the first top inch or 2 of the soil, then that's a great indication that you can give it another watering. And then obviously in the summertime, when you're moving it into a better spot in your home where it's getting good, full, bright sun, just be aware that it might require a little bit more watering. Before jumping into some of the things that can go awry when it comes to our Norfolk pines and caring for them, including browning and yellowing leaves, not leaves, but branches, and you understand what I mean. I want to touch on one final thing, which is fertilization. Now, it's really important to ensure that you are fertilizing your Norfolk Island pine, especially in the spring and summer months. Younger, less mature plants, I should say, the root systems really are just beginning to develop. So by using a diluted liquid fertilizer in the spring and summer when it's getting that nice full sun, will really help those roots kind of strengthen and develop, which is a really good tip. Sometimes I've even seen a stake or 2 will help with the smaller, sort of really kind of wobbly young Norfolk Island pines. This one, however, is really kind of firm and appreciates it, and using a nice deep pot also helps for this as well. So over the winter holidays, especially if you're in a colder climate like I am, if you're not able to provide the correct conditions for your Norfolk Island pine, a few things may start to happen. Now, what you can start to see is yellowing and browning of certain branches of your Norfolk Island pine, and that could be for a multitude of reasons. It can be a little bit challenging to pinpoint what exactly it is, and it may not be a singular thing. It could be, you know, a lighting and watering issue, or, you know, any sort of combination of the forementioned, but you can kind of prune off those sort of browning and yellowing branches, especially if they're kind of coming in at the base of the plant. I don't think that's too unusual, but if you're sort of noticing some major parts to the plant that are really browning or yellowing, you're gonna really need to take a look at the conditions that you're providing that plant, the soil that it's in, the container, is there a drainage hole, what kind of light, humidity. Other things you could be thinking about are draftiness and cooler breezes. So for example, if you have this near an entryway or a door, even a lot of excessive heat in the winter near like, you know, forced air or whatever that is, can really kind of suck out the moisture and the humidity from the air, which these plants, like I said, they really thrive in very humid, wetter climates. So making sure that they have that humidity can really kind of go against you know, this plant or this house plant. So really kind of reflect on what conditions you're providing it, if you need to switch up the container, the soil mix, whatever the case may be, and give it a chance to kind of rebound in the summertime. Don't forget to fertilize, of course, like I mentioned, and like mine, you'll really start to see the plant grow and develop. One really interesting thing that I want to touch on is I had mentioned that there could be multiple plants in. They do that, you know, retailers or whoever's growing these does that, I think, to give it a fuller looking plant. I think I actually had at one point this summer another plant in here that had kind of died back. It wasn't growing as quickly, and I guess it just wasn't getting as much light or whatever the case may be. So I was actually able to kind of remove that individual Norfolk Island pine from the remaining that you still see here. So just really sort of think carefully and crucially through your winter, overwintering care of this plant. That's kind of the riskiest period, I think, especially if you're using it as a living Christmas or Xmas tree. And what else can I tell you? Yeah, just you gotta sort of compensate in the summer for the lack of light and watering and humidity and all of that kind of stuff. So just be careful. Now, another thing worthwhile mentioning is, unfortunately, Norfolk Island pines can be susceptible to mealybugs, spider mites, and obviously other houseplant pests that we obviously all want to avoid. So if you do care for other houseplants or you have that, you know, it's a good idea just to make sure that you can treat these, or you have what is required to treat them. And what I would really recommend is just, you know, taking a very careful, close look while you're at your local nursery or your local Target. Just kind of eye over, take a really kind of close look, inspect the branches, and just see if there's anything kind of crawling around there, or if you have any white fuzziness. Those might be mealybugs. So you just want to be careful that you're not bringing that into your home. Or if you are and you're aware that there's an issue there, you can treat it carefully or you know, as need be. Finally, there is one more thing I want to mention. Now, beyond browning or yellowing of the branches, another thing you could be seeing is dropping, you know, dropping bits and pieces basically, or needles, if you will, even though they're not really, I guess they're kind of like needles. But if you are experiencing dropping, that is probably due to overwatering again, or not enough light. So just beyond the yellowing and the browning, if you are experiencing that, that is another sort of sign or signal that the conditions, you're almost there, you're not quite right. But if you definitely are experiencing any of these things, feel free to leave a comment in the description of this video or in the comment section of this video, and I'd be happy to try my best to help you, you know, figure out. But also, if you have one of these and you love them, definitely leave a comment down below. I love mine, and I just can't wait to repot this next year. I think it will be ready at that point, and just really watch this thing thrive, flourish, get bigger, and I just love how they kind of extend. And actually, that's just making me think that if you are getting some legginess, it's just kind of overgrowing and stretching, that's probably a lighting issue. So really be sure these can handle full sun, full light, and that's what they want. So if you are using this as an Xmas Christmas tree or a living Christmas tree, make sure that you move it in the summertime or in the spring so that it's getting really, really good full sun. Well, that's it for me. Definitely leave a comment down below. Hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed to my channel. Miss you guys already. Until the next one.